Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Friday. Here is Ready, Set, Trade. My name is Doc. Today's Friday, the 12th of May. All right, let's get started with today. We don't have that much in the way of news today. We have consumer sentiment. It's been a big week, though, in terms of Fed speak, in terms of major economic impacting moves and releases like CPI and PPI. Jobless claims. We will have James Bullard speaking tonight. Fortunately, he's not going to move the market until Sunday night, so we got that for us. So it's been a tough couple of weeks between the Fed meeting last week, a lot of major earnings coming out last week, and everything is tailing down. The market's kind of on its own now for the next few weeks, which will be nice. Not much in the way of earnings coming up. So Cisco, Walmart next week. Not much else. There's still over a 90% chance that the Fed does nothing next month. Now, traditionally, when the Fed pivots, that can be a time of weakness. Usually we get a short-term move higher from that, like, yay, party's on. And then the oxygen runs out, right? We've seen this movie before. We saw the same exact thing back in 2007, where the Fed was like, no, we're going to keep doing these quarter point rate hikes. Bernanke was just like one after another. And every meeting was like, is he going to stop? Is he going to stop? No. Okay. Well, at least we know what he's doing. And then he did it one time too many. And then the market started to fall apart. And then he said, hey, I think we're going to stop raising rates. He came right out and said it. Market screamed higher into October that year and then fell to pieces. It was too late. We may get somewhat the same thing. Again, we may get somewhat of a breakout to the upside here. This is what I'm seeing in the markets, is we're seeing the market doesn't really want to go down right now. It wants to go higher, looking for an excuse to go higher, but it can't summon up the right mix to squeeze the bears out until we perhaps run down to 4,000 or so. Look at this. We're looking at 75 basis point cut by the end of the year. Only one way that happens. Who's with us today? We have Fred, Steve, Juan, and John. Good morning, gentlemen. Plus anybody else out there which is lurking in the shadows. Welcome aboard. Glad you're here with us here today at Ready, Set, Trade. All right, so next week we'll be here Monday through Friday, 9:20 through 10:05, trading the open every day. So we're going to be looking for our iron flies, 0 DTE, and I'm going to look for a ladder iron entry. Again, it has been elusive. We've been trying to do these 5 wides, and it's just been tough to find. Let's see if I can see. And also, we're going to be closing our 2 June ladder position, our 45-day DTE ladder position. That will be closed today, and chances are that one may fire on its own as soon as we open up here. So we'll see whether that happens or not. Let's go out to the charts. Let's talk about what happened yesterday. Here was yesterday's opening range. So we gapped down, and then we kept on going. And the price got close to this lower expected move. I could not put on an iron fly. I did so privately later on. It worked out fine. It wasn't too bad to do. But in the room, I could not do one. So it ended up just being a really choppy day. A lot of candles, so pretty fair amount of volume. And today we're gapping slightly higher. So we'll get this set up here shortly when we get 4 minutes from now when the opening bell rings. We'll get that set up. Now, what I'd like to see is whether or not I can put on that 23 June. The CBOE has just really been falling down on the job lately. 23 June now is 42 days. We tried at 45 days. There were just no calls, no call strikes. Let's see if they've gotten their act together. No. Still no. So we would be trading 25 wide. Now, I did a 25 wide on Tuesday. That was not an official trade, but I did add one, and I could add potentially another one. Although these look to be at about the same strike, so that's the problem. So it looks like I'm only going to be putting on one for this week. Only putting on one for this week. And then the next week we'll be looking at, actually look at this, we have 26 June are at 45 days. So I can do another one here, but these are terrible. Just no strike prices. These guys need to get on the board. Good morning, Calvin. Look at that. No strike prices at all. So if we go out to something like 49 days, do we get any better here? Looks like there's a lot more strikes on this one. Yeah, that may be our savior. We may have to go out to 49 days and trade over the weekend. So those are the quarterlies, and that's why there's more of them. Those are the quarterlies, so I may consider doing something with those. All right. So there she goes. All right, let's see what's going on. We still have a gap up of 13 points right now for today, looking at the SPX. If I collapse all this other stuff here, for 12 May, we're looking at a 19-point expected move. It's pretty small. So the best that we're going to do is a 20-wide iron fly. We'll put one of those in the analyzer to begin with to see if there's any hope of us getting something in play. And we'll give that a shot. Plus, let me know if there's any questions as we go through the trading day. So I'm going to be setting up the things that I'm going to be busy doing a lot of these things. So first of all, setting up the 0 DTE iron fly for today. We got about a minute, 15 seconds to go. Closing down the 45 DTE ladder iron condor for 2 June. So now we're at the 21 day to expiration point. This is when we want to close them down. And it's awfully close to our profit target. So if you look at this one here, it is this position right here. Oh, look at the options are just like crazy right now. So this is the position that I want to close. And I think there's a good chance that this thing may fire once we get to the opening bell, which is only 30 seconds away from now. Okay, so let's get ready for that. There'll be a bunch of stuff going on. And then once we get those things into play, I'll take a look at the 45 DTE, or actually in this case, the 49 DTE quarterly. So I'll look at playing a quarterly position and probably do that into E-Trade. Okay, so here we go, 5 seconds to go. We're going to be catching this 0 day option. And the beginning expected move is 19.46. 19.46. So we'll start that out. I'm expecting to hear a trade fill any second now. Let's take a look at that one and let's see how it's doing. So right now it's showing a midpoint at 97.5. I've got a $1 limit order into play for this one, so I'm just going to leave it alone for a minute and not chase this one. I'm going to see if it'll fill on its own, and then we'll go from there. But I don't want to see the futures drop. If I see the futures drop, then I may go ahead and chase this one and just close it out. Oh, there we go. Okay, so speak of the devil. Okay, so let me get this out to the rest of the platform. That worked out nicely. So we did get about a 50% profit capture from that, roughly. I'll have to do the numbers a little bit later and see what they came out to. Okay, done. Let's get that out to everybody. All right, cool. So that one's done. We don't have to consider that one anymore. So let's go back out to the analyzer and look at our 0 DTE for a second. All right, so we have decided that we're going to do a 20 wide. We're going to do a 20 wide on this guy. And we can get rid of these positions here. So those are a butterfly from yesterday. So we're going to start from scratch. And so first of all, we're going to give this thing just a little bit of a positive lean. If I can go back to here. Let's center this around 4150. We're going to center this iron condor around 4150. And so both of our short calls and puts are going to be at 4150. And then we're going to move these out. The insurance options or the long options are going to be 20 points away. So 4170 for the calls and 4130 for the puts. That gives us about a $13 credit. Looking at the risk profile, let's clean these price slices up. That's a little bit aggressive, but I'll let that sit for right now. Now, what I want to do is I want to see, so you can see that we're setting up the opening range. Let's go ahead and determine what our opening print is for today. I'm going to go out to look at that crazy consolidation. And we want to look at the larger time frame charts too. Look at the insane amount of consolidation here. That will not stand for very long. That will move. That will move. And I know I've been saying that forever, but it will move. Okay, so we just filled the gap from yesterday. We filled yesterday's gap, which is right there. So we've just created a new one for today. So we'll get rid of that one and we'll put a new one up. But today's opening print is 4156. So we're going to use our tracking sheet here. 4156 is our opening print. We're going to combine that with the expected move at the very beginning. And if we just apply that plus and minus to the opening print, we have an upper and a lower expected move, 4175.46 and 4136.54. Hey, Bob, welcome to the room. Okay, so back to the chart. Let's go to the intraday chart now. And this is where we construct our bounds for the day. So the upper expected move for today, and I'm applying this to the ES chart because the ES chart is by far a much better chart to look at intraday because it moves. The SPX chart does not generate volume. So this is 4175.46 for the upper expected move. So that's that blue line moving up there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with a blue line down below. This is our lower expected move. This is going to be 4136.54. All right, so there we have that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my anchored VWAP for today. Change that to 512. Apply that. Up we go. And we're ready to rock and roll for today. Good morning, Len. All right, so I'm going to kind of expand this out. You can see the upper expected move in light blue. You can see the lower expected move in light blue as well, too. You can see the opening range in red, which is just an auto study. And then you can barely see this here in the middle. This is our anchored VWAP, anchored VWAP. And I'm not seeing much of anything going on at all. And I think I might move everything down 5 points here. I'm going to move all of these down 5 points. Reset the credit. And that looks pretty good. Let's see if it's moving at all. So I'll give it a couple of minutes to see if it wants to start moving around. And if not, we may try to prosecute this position. All right, market internals, where are you? Market internals started off pretty strong. Tick is pretty strong. We'll see if they stay there or whether they revert back to the mean. So far, so good. Okay, am I seeing any decay? More importantly, is the price moving at all? So far, it's not moving. It's not moving, and this may be a good candidate for an iron fly this morning. Now, the way that we would set up, if we entered here at 41.41, the way that I set the stops on this is plus and minus the expected move. And so what we would do is we would have a stop at 41.60 and 41.22. So I can mark these. $41.60 and $41.22. There we go. So these would be the stops, and it looks like we're risking so far just about 200, looking to maybe make 50. Starting to move around just a little bit now. Moving around just a little bit now. Let's see if it moves at all. Let's go to Market Watch. Let's see what's moving today. Index Watch. We're starting to see the futures drop just a little bit. Sector spiders. VIX is down today. Most sectors are up with the exception of communications. We had Google super strong yesterday. And today what's strong is utilities, of all things. Energy is also strong. Tech. So the winners from yesterday are not doing as well today. So looking at this, we had, let's see, Amazon was pretty strong yesterday, and it seems to be very flat today. Let's see what Tesla's doing. Tesla is actually up today. Let's look at our horsemen. Apple is still flagging out. We have Meta. Meta's not doing anything today. Google was very strong yesterday. Looks like they are still strong today. It looks like Bard is playing catch-up to ChatGPT. Bard is playing catch-up. Let's see, Microsoft. Microsoft is slightly down on that news. Let's see, who else do we need to look at here? NVIDIA. NVIDIA is flagging out. AMD has been, AMD looked really weak for a while there, and then just slingshot higher after earnings. Nice earnings move there. Okay, so we're actually cash positive on AMD shares that we've owned for better part of a year now. All right, let's see what's going on. Not much is going on here in zero DTE land, but I'm also not seeing any decay either. Not in a hurry to get into this one. Not much to work with, and if it's not decaying, then I don't care about it. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to go out to our E-Trade interface. Okay, so here's E-Trade, and I'm still looking at June 23rd. And if I look up here looking for strike prices, you can see that I did that one position on Tuesday with a 25 wide, and there's still no strike prices there. So what I can do is I can go out to the June 30th options. I can go slightly further out in time. So quarterlies are going to be a little bit better for this. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look for delta of about 30, and that's where I'm going to set up my puts. And that's going to be right around at 40.30. Okay, so I'm going to make this. I'm going to make this a 5 wide. So 40.30, and we're going to buy the 40.25. That's pretty close down to support. And then if we go up to the calls, what I want to do is I want to look for about a 15 delta. So the 15 delta is, the delta value is right there. And it looks like I've got one 43.40 and 43.45. Okay, so that's paying about, let's try $1.90 for this one. Let's see if we can get $1.90. And then I may have to modify this and bring it down to $1.85, but that's about right. That's about where we're normally getting fills for this. Somewhere between $1.80 and $2 is where we want to be. Okay, let's bring this down to $1.85. Oh, you got your $50, huh? Nice. All right, I'm going to put this one up here and see what's going on. I don't see any decay on this iron fly, so you might have gotten a nice early entry. There's not much, meat on these chicken bones here with a 19-point expected move. So not really wild about this one yet. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Now it's down to about $1.80. Let's try $1.80 for this. I don't want to go too much lower. There we go. So $1.80. And let's do some tracking of this. Actually, let me send out the trade update. No. I must have hit a control or something. Okay, so that one's out there. So let's take a look at, again, we're doing the SPX 30 June. 40.25, 40.30 buy, 43.40, 43.45. And the entry date is what, 5/12, and the expiry date is 6/30. And so this is going to give us 49 days. And that means the date out max is going to be 6/9. We got to be out by the 9th of June on this position. Credit received was $1.80. And so our profit target should come in at 90 cents. Okay. Delta of the short puts. Let's go track these here. Why is not this? This should be showing on the chain. I'm not sure why. Usually you can see the positions on the chain. Okay, so anyway, the 40/30 is a 29.6 short put. And then the short calls. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know why we can't see those. So we did a 43.40, and those deltas are 15.26, 0.1526. So the first thing we want to do is put our exit order in. So let's set that for 90 cents. So here's my brand new trade, and the first thing I want to do is custom group this. So let's put all these positions together. Save that. So here it is. And supposedly this thing is already up 10 or 20 bucks. Okay, so let's put the limit debit to close this down at 90 cents. And we'll make that good till canceled. Now, the other thing that I want to do here is I'm going to go into, so let's see, that was a 43.40. I'm going to go into my Thinkorswim account. Yeah, we're getting movement all over the place. Ooh, interesting. I'm going to go into my Thinkorswim account and go to the SPX. And I'm going to go to 30 June. I'm going to set up a delta threshold on that call that we sold, which is the 43.40. That one right there. So I'm going to do a right click, create alert. Delta is at or above. I want to set this for 30. So we got in with a delta 15, and I want to set this up for delta 30. This, and write yourself a note. This is the delta alert for the SPX 30 June RST $43.40 calls. Please roll up the puts. So this would be a defensive. If these deltas double, then we want to roll the puts up. And this is the way this is the way you tell yourself. So if you're not doing this on a bot, you got to do this. You got to automate your actions on this so you're not looking for this. Okay, so we've got that in place. So now what I can do is I've got these little check marks here. And we put our exit order in, and we've also put our delta alert Now let me also track the expected move, which is 219.5. And that gives us initial risk on this trade of oops. $320. Lower strike is 40.30. Upper strike is 43.40. So that gives us a width of about 310 points. There we go. So we've got everything marked here. And oh, by the way, this one is done. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this one. Okay, so our exit date was 5/12/2023. That's 23 days in the trade. Exit debit was $1. And that is a profit. And P&L. You know what I'd actually like to do with this one is I'm going to go through and I'm going to add a little bit of logic to these. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to add a little bit, I'm going to add some fields over here in terms of which broker that I'm using and the actual round trip commissions on this, which this does not have yet, because I'd like to factor those in. So I'm going to add that logic down here, and we'll calculate that one. But okay, there we go. Shut our first one down for 2023. What's the price doing? It's all over the map here today, huh? So we've gotten a slightly bigger opening range. Let's see what this iron fly is doing. Not much decay, really. I don't know if this one's really worth chasing. Might get a pretty flat day here today. Yeah, John, that was an oops. That was a formula oops. But I've unoopsed the formula. Okay, let's see. What do we got? 5 minutes left to go here. We got 5 minutes left to go. What else is going on? Let's look at some of the other positions that we have. I've got this paper money account set up to track the other inventory that we have. Okay, so that was this one. This is the one that we closed today. So that one's gone, so I can shut this down. Boom. All right, the next one that we have, let's see, 40/20, 40/25, 43, 20, 43/25. I think it's this one here. This one's awfully close to our target. And that one we need to be out of by next Friday. So chances are pretty good, unless we see a big move here. This one will fire in the next couple of days. Okay, we have another 9 June position, 39.70, 39.75, and 42.70, 42.75. That is this one here. This one's getting a little tight on the top side. We'll look at the delta on this one. Yeah, there we go. Okay, but that one's profitable. We don't need to do anything with that. Although this is a great example. Like, were we to get a delta threshold on this one, if the delta threshold is getting a little tight on this one, let's see if we can find that on the, where's my delta threshold on this? Let's find the 42.70s. Which are right there. Oh, this is nowhere even close. So we're looking for a delta threshold of 40. And so this is still right around the same area as where we entered. So this one's not going to be, but things happen a lot faster as you get closer and closer to expiration. Okay, so that one's still doing fine. But if we were getting close to a delta threshold, I would just say tear it down, close down the position. Don't adjust something else if you can get out of it with a profit. And then the next one that we have is a 16 June. And I think this is the 4305, 4310. This one here, that one's doing great. And we don't have to get out of this one for another couple of weeks. So we can let this one fester. And then we have a 23 June we put on. And this was put on Tuesday. And these were much wider spreads. And this one is already showing a potential profit of $110. So wider spreads do decay faster because they're closer to the nature of a naked strangle, which is the fastest form of decay that you're going to have. It's just naked options. So everything's still looking pretty good, although if we get our big move here, then we may have to scramble a little bit to adjust things. All right, any questions on those? Any questions on those? There's just no decay here today. I mean, all this time, this thing we put on and we readjusted about 20, 25 minutes ago, and it's just now getting up to burning off about $20. So, I mean, you can certainly take this if you want. I mean, you don't probably have to wait until 10 o'clock. You can take this if you want. I'm just not a big fan of it. Okay, let's go back to the charts. Let's see what's happening here in the major charts. Absolutely nothing. Look at this SPX chart. Just nothing. This is just all the life has gone out of it. All right, this is where I go down to a 4 fractal chart because we have to go down to smaller time frames to see what's going on. But the daily chart is building up energy again, and I'm pretty sure that when we get back here on Monday, we're going to be dropping some of these candles off the back end, and the weekly chart energy is going to start to build up again. Weekly chart energy is going to start to build up again. So we're going to keep adding these ladder iron condors, a couple a week. That's the idea if we can find the right strike prices to be able to do these. This is one advantage of playing a little bit closer to the money, is that it's when you go really far out of the money that you have trouble finding strike prices. So a lot of the professionals are much more comfortable playing closer to the money, and they don't need the way out of the money wings that many of retail sell. I mean, we're not going crazy far out of the money. I mean, we're doing 30 delta on the puts. We're doing 15 delta on the calls. That's one standard deviation. I mean, there are options up there. It's just that we don't have the full complement that we're looking for. All right, we're getting some movement now. The opening range is printed, and we're already breaking the opening range. So looks like we got some reaction to the consumer sentiment. Forecast was 63, actual 57.7. So it's kind of a consumer is not happy. Consumer not happy. All right, so I'm not really interested in this iron fly today, and that would have been a challenge. Just no decay, If there's decay, then I'll chase after something, get in, get out, get my fair share. But if there's no decay, so that's exactly why we're doing these 45 DTE wide. It's wide enough, it's narrow enough to give you a decent risk profile on this, right? So we're not risking 10 to make 1, which is what I used to do a long time ago. I hate doing that now. Ooh, we have a signal on gold. Let's see what the signal on gold is. Is this worth taking? Maybe. So we're in an uptrend on gold, and it's showing, I don't like this signal very much. It looks like it's already faded back from it. It doesn't look all that strong. The whole idea here is that you're trading in this direction of a trend, and you're getting a hook signal here. You're getting a pullback and a breakout from this. That's a hook signal on the RSI Ligera, but it's already retreated from it, so I'm not going to take it. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? That is our opening range. Price is just kind of choppy in a range today. The NASDAQ is showing a little bit of weakness today. NASDAQ is showing just a little bit of weakness today, as the industrials and energy are taking the forefront today. So it's been a strong week for the NASDAQ, so maybe a little bit of profit taking is in order. Let's see what's moving here. So even Apple's down. We have Airbnb is down. We have a lot of these Chinese companies are down. Baidu and JD. We'll never trade them again. Not going to do it. Tesla's up today. Tesla is up today. AutoZone. Very choppy, mixed results from the NASDAQ, but it has been the leading index lately. And one more chart I want to look at here is just the Russell. See what the Russell's doing. Russell is threatening to puke from here, but it could just as easily break out if it gets above 1770. All right, we have filled the gap for today. Gap is done. No gap. No gap today. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. You guys have a great weekend. I'm going to Hotlanta tomorrow to go check out. Tasty Trade is doing a bad trader seminar. So I'm going to go see Tom and TP, Tom Sosnoff and Tom Preston. I don't know who else is going to show up there. I don't follow the crew really, apart from those two guys. And they've always got something interesting to talk about. They've always got an interesting take on it, even if they're hard to follow as traders. But they've always got some wisdom to share. So if there's anything interesting, I will bring it back with me and share it with you guys on Monday. So thanks, everybody. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday, and we'll fire it up again. All right? Everybody be good. We'll see you.